Hello, I welcome you all in this presentation related to the subject principles of industrial engineering, and we are talking about the methods used for selection of the site or location of the plant, so that the suitable plant or the organization can be developed, installed, located suitably, so that it can provide the services, it can produce the goods to the customers at the minimum possible cost, and the best possible services can be given. So, under this category we have talked about the different methods like point method, factor rating method, break even analysis method, and the load distance method. In this presentation basically I will be talking about the center of the gravity method, and the method which is based on primarily on the economics, that is the return on investment. So, these two methods about these two methods I will be talking in this presentation. So, here CG method is used to identify the location where a warehouse or a plant or a shop can be located, so that it is close to the markets, it is close to the distribution points or close to the customer base. So, in this case also it uses the coordinate system for locating the for identifying the location where a warehouse, plant or bank or hospital can be located. Say so on the with reference to some point with respect to some reference point, the location of the different sites is identified on x and y coordinates, like say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So, each will be having its own x and y coordinates. So, if all these points or all these locations are to be served or are to be fed with, then where we should locate our warehouse, so that distance to be travelled is minimum for all these locations. And that is so here basically the distances to be travelled are minimized by locating the plant or shop or the warehouse in such a way that from that particular location of the plant, the distances to be travelled are to the different sites are minimized. So, in this process, say each one will be having their own weight according to the location, that is the distance to be travelled with respect to some point, some reference point. So, if these are the different points on the two dimensional map, or we can say the plan of the area, then where is the center of the gravity of such kind of the map or the plan, that is what is identified considering both the load to be moved and the distance to be travelled, so that the load and distance to be travelled are considered for optimizing the location, for identifying the location of the plant so that load and distance to be traveled are minimized. So, basically it assumes that each location has its own distance and the load to be moved. So, both L and the D are used to consider the weight of the each location, and with respect to that weight, what will be the center of the gravity of such kind of the two dimensional plan, where if we locate our warehouse, plant or shop, then load and distance to be travelled will be minimum. So, to understand this, what we do, the center of gravity of the possible site for locating a plant with respect to the different considering the different potential sites, or the sites where the demand exists or plants exist, or the different distribution points are there or customer base exist. So, all those things are considered. Let us say center of gravity obviously will be coming in terms of the value of the x, the point having the value of the x coordinate and value of the y coordinate. So, say the center of gravity of x coordinate is identified through the algebraic sum of the distance to be travelled from the different points, sum of the distance to be travelled from the different points on the x axis and the corresponding weight divided by sum of all these weights, that is the load. Likewise, Cy is obtained from the sum of the product of the distance to be travelled in y direction into the weight or the load to be moved from each of the locations. Sum of this all these loads or the weights. That will be it will be more clear from this example. Here if we see, if there are A, B, C and D, there are 4 distribution points having the coordinates on x, xy coordinates of these locations, say for A 11 and 22, 10, 7, and for C it is 4, 1, and for D it is 3, 6, and the kind of the load or the weight which is to be moved, like say W, which is to be moved in and out for the point A is, for the location A is 15, for the location B is 10, for location C is 12, and for location D is 4. Then sum of all these weights, algebraic sum of all these W's, say equal to 41. Then what we have to do is the weight into the distance to be travelled in x, the x coordinate of the location A. So, xi, so 15 into 11, and then 10 into 10, 12 into 4, and 4 into 3. That is how it is 165 100, 48 and 12. So, sum of all W x I will be equal to say 3 to 5. Similarly, we will determine W into y I. So, product of the W, that is the load, and the y coordinate. So, here 15 into 22. So, that is coming 330. 10 into 7. So, it is 70. 12 into 1. So, it is 12, and 4 into 6. So, it is 24. And algebraic sum of W into y I, that will be equal to say 436. So, like let us say W into x I, that is the d is the distance, x I, that is for C x is 325 divided by algebraic sum of all these weights, that is 41. So, the x coordinate for the CG is coming say 7.9, and similarly y coordinate for CG is will be 436 divided by 41. So, it will be like say 10.6. So, here if we say on x and y coordinates, the different points have been located, like say the D, C, and then B, and then A. So, A, B, say D and C. If these are the location of the different locations where from there will be inward and outward movement of the different amounts, then considering the weight or the extent of movement and their locations, the CG is coming out at 7.9. So, considering the weight and the distances to be travelled, the CG is coming 7.9, say on x coordinate, and on the y coordinate it is coming 10.6. So, let us say that point is coming here 10.6 y coordinate and 7.9 x coordinate, 7.9 x coordinate. So, if we locate the plant here, then it will be reducing the distance as well as the algebraic sum of the distance and the weight to be travelled from this point, that will be minimum. Now, this is the approximate location where we can have our plant or an organization. So, we will try to find out the suitable location nearby this one, which will help in locating the plant or organization suitably. Now, another method is completely based on the economics, that is about the return on investment, that is ROI. So, what it assumes, whatever is the initial investment is to be made. After initial investment, some expenditure will be needed to produce the goods and services, and when those goods and services are produced, we get some returns in terms of the sale or revenues. So, basically what we do for determining this, we try to determine the kind of the net gain divided by the investment. This gives us the kind of the return on investment in terms of the percentage. So, into 100, that is what we have to do. So, gain is identified through the revenues or sales which was there minus expenditure which is there under the different heads divided by the total initial investment which is being made. Investment. So, this into 100 will be giving us the kind of percentage of the return on investment. To understand this better, we will take one example, like say there are 3 possible sites. Each will be offering the different kind of the sales, expenditure and initial investment. So, let us say the site A, site B and site C. Here expenditure is made on the different heads for these sites. Say the initial investment in all these cases is same, amount is in say lakhs. So, 2.0, 2.0 and 2.0. Initial investment is same in all these 3 at all these 3 locations. But the kind of the sale which is there or the revenue which is generated is 2.5 lakhs from A, 3 lakhs from the B and again 2.5 lakhs from the location C. Then we have lot of expenditure like expenditure on account of the distribution. Say on account of the distribution it is 0.4 for A, 0.4 for B and say 0.75 for C location. Similarly, the expenditure on account of the material is say 0.7 for A, 0.8 for B and 0.9 for C location. Then expenditure on power is 0.4, 0.3 and 0.2 for location C. And the labor expenditure on the labor is 0.2, 0.25 and again 0.2. Then expenditure on overhead for producing the things is say 0.25, 0.4 and 0.3. So, the total expenditure of the different total expenditure is where expenditure on these heads. This is the sale or revenue and this is the initial investment. So, total expenditure for site A is coming say 1.95, for site B is 2.15 and for site C is 2.35. So, if you want to determine the return on investment for site A, then what we have total sale is of 2.5 minus 1.95, that is the expenditure divided by 2 is the investment. So, investment return is say 27.5%, 27.5%. Likewise, for the return on investment for site B is say 3 minus 2.15 divided by 2. So, here return on investment percentage is 42.5. Likewise, return on investment for site C is like say 2.5 minus 2.35 divided by 2. So, return on investment is just 7.5%. So, if we consider the return on investment, then site B is considered to be one of the most attractive site and most economical with respect to the kind of the benefits or the returns will be gained if the plant is located at the site B. Now, once we have identified our the site for locating the plant, the next important thing which comes up is the installing the facility, arranging the different facilities in the plants so that there is a smooth flow of the resources, and it takes minimum time to produce the things. There is a minimum wastage of the resources in terms of the man, material or the machinery movement. So, basically the point is how should we arrange the resources within the organization so that the flow of the resources or flow of the man, material, machine becomes smooth in course of the production of the goods and services. So, that is what falls under the plant layout. Plant layout is about the how the facilities will be arranged, arrangement of the facilities in the organization. These facilities may be in terms of like where will be the store so that things will be inspected and stored, issued as and when they are needed. Where will be the different types of the machines which will be located, where the inspection and testing facility will be located, where the material will be dispatched, where the different facilities to be used for manufacturing, for development of the goods will be located. So, there are different basic principles which are used in taking decision about the way by which facilities will be arranged, so that the whatever the raw material is received, it is properly stored, it is processed, after processing it is packed, dispatched and distributed to the users or to the dealers. So, this the arrangement of the facilities within the plant is identified under the plant. There can be various situations, and main goal here is that the flow of the raw material or flow of the information is the flow is smooth in course of production of the goods and services. There is a minimum time required to do this. There is a minimum wastage in unnecessary movements, unnecessary delays, unnecessary breakdowns, and the system works in most efficient manner for with regard to the use of the resources like man, material, machine and all those facilities which are there, they work efficiently so that the goal of high productivity can be realized. So, under what conditions this is needed to look into the plant layout? Like a new product is to be launched. So, it requires a particular kind of the arrangement of the facilities according to the product to be made, or expansion of the organization is needed, expansion of the organization is needed to deal with the increased demand for product, or some kind of the alteration in the existing product designs are forcing us to review the layout of the plant so that more efficient and smooth flow of the material through the plant can take place. So, alteration or change in the existing product designs, or excessive wastage is identified. The studies have shown that excessive accidents are taking place. There is a lot of breakdowns or wastage of the time, bottleneck, all those things are there and leading to the excessive wastage. So, that needs the reviewing of the layout so that things can be moved efficiently with the minimum wastage and the bottleneck. Working conditions are very hostile, like temperature is too high, noise is too high. So, to provide the more comfortable working environment, it becomes important to make some minor alteration in the layout of the plant so that more comfortable working environment to the workers can be provided. And when developing, so these are the different conditions under which it may be required to review the existing layout. There is one more possibility, that the facilities have become very old, facilities are obsolete, they have become old. So, it is required to come up with the newer infrastructure which may require the different kind of the arrangement of the facilities. So, these are the different conditions when it will may be required to look into the plant layout related aspects. What are the different types of the layouts? What are the different principles used in developing the layout which is to be kept in mind while layout is being developed? About that I will be talking in the coming lectures. So, in this presentation basically I have talked about the two methods which are used for selection of the suitable site for locating the plant. These two methods were like center of the gravity method, and another method was based on the economics considering the return on investment. And I have also given the introduction of the plant layout and when it is required to look into the plant layout related things. Thank you for your attention.